Hi everyone, welcome back. Coming on with some more homeostasis again today, and we're looking at hormones in contraception. So we'll be looking at which hormones are involved, hormone contraception's pros and cons, non-hormonal contraception pros and cons, and then looking at surgical birth control. So as always, grab some paper, grab some pens, and follow along with me. Looking at contraception then, it's first important that we go back and look at these hormones that are used in the menstrual cycle and just recall what they do. So you've got FSH, LH, estrogen and progesterone. Remember, FSH matures the egg, LH causes ovulation, so that's egg release on about day 14. Estrogen stops FSH being produced, but also thickens the uterus lining ready for a pregnancy. And progesterone stops FSH and LH being produced, and it maintains that uterus lining just in case you get pregnant and then a fertilized egg wants to implant in the lining. Now, contraception, as you probably are aware of, is something that you use so you do not get pregnant yourself or you don't get someone else pregnant. So you do not want a baby in this case. FSH matures the egg. Now, if we don't want a baby, it'd be pretty silly of us to be maturing and releasing eggs. So FSH and LH aren't used in contraception, but instead estrogen and progesterone, because they stop these two being released, are often used. So if you don't want a baby, you've got two main options in terms of contraception. You've got hormonal contraception, so things like the contraceptive pill or the implant or the hormonal IUD, and then you've got non-hormonal contraceptions as well, so things like condoms, diaphragms, things like abstinence or natural family planning, and surgical methods as well. So I'm going to have a look at the pros and cons of each and give you an overview, because that's what you need to be able to do in your exams. You'd usually be expected to evaluate, so compare two different methods, but usually based on information they give you in the exam, so you have something to draw on. So I would suggest, in terms of making notes, do yourself some mind maps, one for the hormonal, one for the non-hormonal, we'll go from there. The first of our contraceptives we're going to be looking at is the oral contraceptive, or better known as the pill. It contains estrogen and progesterone, and you take a pill every morning or the same time of day, every day, to prevent pregnancy. Usually with some pills you'll have one pill for every day, and some of them will be dummy or sugar pills, so your body gets a break from the hormones, or you would take one pack and then wait a week. And that would allow your period to happen. So they are beneficial because they're really easy to use, and you can stop your pregnancy, you can stop taking the pills easily when you want your pregnancy to happen. It usually takes, a day or two for the effects to not work anymore so you can get pregnant. A downside, however, are you have to remember to take them every single day. If you miss a day, you do increase your risk of becoming pregnant, and they, of course, do not protect you against any sexually transmitted illnesses. The next of our contraceptives is the implant or the injection. Now, I've actually had an implant myself when I was younger. It's usually implanted in your upper arm, just sort of below the armpit-ish area. It's a small plastic rod. I don't think of it as being hard plastic, it's more like a soft rubber. I'll try and find a picture or two, or just to show you one in real life. They release hormones such as estrogen and progesterone really slowly. Implants can last a long time. The one that I had lasted for 3 years before I had to have it removed. But for those 3 years, it just meant I didn't have to remember to take the pill every day. So benefits of the implant or the injection is they are much longer term. So implants can last for years. The injection can last for a number of weeks. They can be used to treat things like endometriosis and heavy periods as well. But now, downsides are they do disrupt periods, so they can make them very irregular, and it can cause some side effects. Because you are using hormones, you can cause like mood swings or weight gain. You sort of feel a bit gross. It's kind of like having PMS, but longer term, but not as severe. Now, I'm really selling the idea of getting an implant to you, but it was really good. The last of our hormonal contraceptive methods is the IUD, or the intrauterine device, also known as the coil sometimes. The IUD is a soft plastic V-shaped device that is inserted into the uterus. They have a sort of coil of wire on the end so they can be removed. And on my other diagram, the thing that looks like two Lego hands holding eggs is a uterus, and actually shows similarly where it sort of sits. It releases the hormones estrogen and progesterone, just like our other hormonal methods like the pill. And again, these stop FSH and LH being released, so there's no egg. though some IUDs don't have hormones, and they sort of block pregnancy by making conditions unsuitable for a fertilized egg to implant inside. The good things about them are they are long term, so IUDs can last multiple years, similar to the implant, and they can be really easily removed, far better than the implant. The implant you have to have it sort of cut out, whereas the IUD can be removed fairly quickly by a medical professional. They, on the downside though, do disrupt periods. They take a while for your body to sort of get used to the hormonal flow, for you to sort of settle into a normal cycle, and there is no STI protection with these as well. So those are our hormonal contraceptive methods. Let's have a look at some non-hormonal methods. The first of our non-hormonal contraceptives is the good old condom/diaphragm, the one everyone's always heard of. So condoms actually physically stop sperm from entering either the vagina or the uterus, so therefore it can't make the egg and there's no fertilization, so no pregnancy. The good things with condoms is they are pretty cheap, easily available. They protect against STIs because you have a physical barrier between the two people's sort of fluids, so to speak, but they are not 100% safe as they can tear. So if you're ever using condoms, please make sure you find out if they're in date or not, because if they've expired, you are increasing the risk of them tearing and increasing the risk of getting someone pregnant. Okay. Our next non-hormonal contraceptive is spermicide. Spermicide is a gel or a cream that contains a compound in it that kills or disables sperm, so stops their ability to swim. If they can't swim, then of course they can't go and fertilize an egg, so they do add another layer of protection. Good things about them is they are effective at making other forms of contraception even safer. So you could use this with, for example, a diaphragm, or you could use this with the pill as well, just to be 100% safe. But unfortunately, it's not effective on its own. If you just use spermicide and then have sex, you are not eliminating the risk of getting pregnant. You are lowering it, but you're not getting rid of it enough to be worth the risk. Our last non-hormonal method is something called natural family planning, or sort of abstinence-based contraception. Now, abstinence is to do with not having sex. So if you are abstaining from sex, abstinence just means lack of or not doing. So you are abstaining from having sex and therefore not having the risk of getting pregnant. However, natural family planning isn't just about not having sex. It's not about total abstinence. It's about not having sex during the time where the woman is most likely to get pregnant. So sort of days 13 to 16 of a cycle when ovulation would occur. So the benefits of this one is there's no hormones involved, so you've got no side effects, and it's morally acceptable to all sort of religions and cultures. Roman Catholicism, for example, still only accept natural family planning as their sort of official contraception method, or lack thereof. So, this is the only one that would be acceptable to them, or, it could be a cultural thing as well. Drawbacks are, though, that even if you're not ovulating, you could still run the risk of getting pregnant. Your ovulation window isn't exactly the same every month, no matter how regular your period might be, and it's not 100% safe at all, and it does not protect you against STIs. Last part in our non-hormonal contraceptive section is surgical methods, so surgical birth control. The first one is vasectomies. So vasectomies is when the sperm duct, it connects the testes to the seminal gland, which creates the sort of watery semen that the sperm swim in, and the end of the penis. So if you cut or tie the sperm duct, this blocks sperm from getting into that fluid. So ejaculation still happens, but there's no sperm in there. So therefore, no sperm can meet the egg and there's no pregnancy. Now, this method is really, really effective. It's over 99% effective, and it could be known as being a permanent method for males, especially if they get the tube cut rather than just sealed or tied. It is a minor surgical procedure. It doesn't take very long, so there's low risk of any complications. I mean, there is still a risk, but it's very, very low. But it does not give you any STI protection, so you'd have to still use a condom if you were having sex with someone that you didn't know the sexual history of, and it's hard to reverse, especially if the duct is cut rather than tied. The other kind of contraception is, or the other kind of surgical method for women is called a tubal ligation. Some people also know it as getting your tubes tied. This is where the oviduct, so the tube on either side that connects the uterus to the ovaries, is cut or tied, so therefore the sperm and the egg can't meet and there's no pregnancy. The good things about this one is you don't have to remember any contraception, or you're not having the side effects of having to take things that contain hormones. And they're, again, really, really effective, over 99% effective. But you do have surgery risks, and it is hard to reverse again, especially if the ducts are cut rather than tied off. Thanks for making it this far through a video that could be sort of seen as cringe, seeing as I'm talking about stuff that involves sex. But hey, we're all bigger than that. Make sure you get your notes on each type. You need to know the differences sort of between surgical and non-surgical, hormonal and non-hormonal. You need to know sort of pros and cons of each, so in an exam you could always evaluate. Usually they give you a blurb of information as well, but it's not a bad idea to sort of have some ideas ticking over the back of your head that you could bring forth in an exam. Make sure you check back really soon and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll be posting most weekdays. Weekends I sort of have a bit of a break and get planning, but hopefully you'll join me soon for what we're going to do next. I think we're going to be looking at how you can use hormones to increase your chances of pregnancy. So looking at IVF and things like that. So hopefully you'll check it out soon, and I will see you next time.